Some people think their lives went wrong because of one single event. But in truth, it's usually one decision, just one. If you had acted differently that day, if you had said that sentence, or if you had done the opposite and stayed silent, would everything be different now? This man wakes up with that question every morning, and every night he falls asleep with the same one. Where did I go wrong? Choices that seem ordinary to others left deep wounds in his life. The wrong person, the wrong timing, the wrong kind of courage. No one knows this, but when he looks in the mirror, he doesn't see a man. He sees the sum of his mistakes. Do you know what hurts the most? Everyone has forgiven him, but he couldn't forgive himself. And right at that moment, when he thought no one was coming, the quietest yet heaviest encounter of his life began. Because there are moments when you can't run, you have to face them. He didn't notice him at first. There was no sound, no light from the sky, no dramatic moment, just a presence, a calm that didn't belong in the middle of his chaos. He kept staring at the floor, his thoughts racing when a voice finally spoke. Soft, steady, certain. You keep returning to the same moment. The man froze, not because the words were loud, but because they were accurate. He slowly looked up. Jesus was standing there, not judging, not angry, not disappointed, just looking at him as if he already knew everything. I can't change it, the man said quietly. I ruined it. I chose wrong, and now I'm paying for it. Jesus didn't interrupt, so he continued. He talked about the decision, the fear, the moment he walked away instead of stepping forward, the night that still visits him in his dreams. I see that version of myself every day, he said, the one who failed. Jesus finally stepped closer. You don't see the full story, he said. The man shook his head. All I see is what I lost. Jesus looked at him gently. You see one chapter, he said. I see the whole book. The man laughed bitterly. If you saw the whole thing, you wouldn't be standing here. Jesus didn't respond right away. Instead, he asked a question. Why do you believe that one decision erased your worth? The man couldn't answer, because he had never questioned that belief before. He had accepted it as truth. Jesus continued. You think your failure defines you, but it doesn't. The man looked away. I knew better, he said, and I still chose wrong. Jesus nodded. Yes, you did. The words landed heavy. Then Jesus added, but you are more than the moment you fell. Silence filled the room. For years, Jesus said, you have punished yourself for a mistake I already carried. The man's breath caught. What do you mean? Jesus looked at him with unwavering calm. You keep reliving the past, but I was already there. Tears filled the man's eyes. He had begged for answers before, for signs, for explanations, but this was different. This wasn't about changing the past. It was about releasing it. Jesus spoke one final sentence before turning away. You are not disqualified, he said. You are still chosen. And for the first time in years, the man didn't feel condemned. He felt seen. The man wanted to believe him, but belief wasn't easy anymore. Years of regret had trained his mind to doubt anything hopeful. You say I'm still chosen, the man said quietly, but you don't know what it feels like to live with this every day. Jesus didn't step back. He stayed close. I know, he said. The man clenched his fists. No, he replied, his voice shaking. You don't wake up with it. You don't hear it whisper every time you try to move forward. Jesus looked at him, steady and calm. I was there, he said, when you made the decision, when you walked away, when you thought you lost everything. The man's breath grew shallow. I carried the weight you're still holding, Jesus continued. But you keep picking it back up. Silence filled the room again. The man finally asked the question he had avoided for years. Then why do I still feel broken? Jesus answered without hesitation, because you learned to live as if healing was something you had to earn. That sentence cut deeper than any accusation. The man lowered his head. I don't know how to stop punishing myself, he admitted. Jesus placed his hand gently on the man's shoulder. You don't heal by proving you're worthy, he said. You heal by accepting that you already are. Tears fell freely now, not from pain alone, but from relief. For the first time, the man realized something terrifying and beautiful. He wasn't being held back by his past. He was holding himself there. Jesus leaned closer. The decision you regret didn't destroy your future, he said. It only revealed where you stopped trusting grace. The man whispered, So what do I do now? Jesus answered softly, You take the next step without dragging yesterday behind you. The room felt lighter. Nothing around him had changed, but everything inside him had. He was still the same man, still imperfect, still learning, but no longer condemned. And for the first time in a long time, he believed that tomorrow didn't have to look like yesterday. The next morning felt unfamiliar, not because the world had changed, but because he had. He woke up expecting the usual weight, the tight chest, the racing thoughts, the voice reminding him of everything he had done wrong. But something was different. The voice was quieter, still there, but no longer in control. As he sat on the edge of his bed, he remembered Jesus' words from the night before. You take the next step without dragging yesterday behind you. For the first time, he understood what that meant. It didn't mean pretending the past never happened. It didn't mean erasing consequences or rewriting history. It meant this. He didn't have to let yesterday decide who he was allowed to be today. That realization scared him more than regret ever had. Because regret was familiar. Pain was predictable. Punishment felt deserved. But grace required movement. Later that day, he stood in front of a choice. A small one. Nothing dramatic. He could stay silent, like he always did. Or he could speak honestly. His heart pounded. This was how it always started, right before fear took over. But this time, another voice answered fear. You are not disqualified. He spoke. His voice wasn't strong. It wasn't confident. But it was real. And for the first time, he didn't hate himself afterward. He noticed something then. The more he stopped punishing himself, the clearer his decisions became. Shame had blurred his vision for years. It convinced him he didn't deserve better choices. Jesus hadn't removed his responsibility. He had removed the lie. That responsibility meant condemnation. That night, as he walked home, the city looked the same. Same lights, same noise, but he wasn't walking under them the same way. He wasn't trying to escape his past anymore. He was walking forward, aware, forgiven, and finally present. And deep down, he knew something important. This wasn't the end of his struggle, but it was the end of believing that struggle meant failure. Because healing doesn't begin when life becomes perfect. It begins the moment you stop letting yesterday decide tomorrow. It didn't last, at least not the way he hoped. The calm, the clarity, the sense of relief. A few days later, the old voice returned, quiet at first, almost polite. See, it whispered. You thought it was over. He felt it while standing in line, while scrolling his phone, while lying in bed at night. The memories came back sharper than before. The mistake, the moment, the version of himself he hated. For a second, panic rose in his chest. What if nothing actually changed? What if I'm just pretending to heal? That fear was familiar. And familiar things are tempting. Because pain, feels safer than hope you don't fully trust yet. He almost went back. Back to silence. Back to self-punishment. Back to believing he deserved the weight. But then he remembered something Jesus said. You don't heal by earning freedom. You heal by choosing it again. Again. Not once. Not permanently. But daily, the voice grew louder. You failed before. You'll fail again. This time he answered it, out loud. Maybe, he said, but I'm not defined by it. The words felt strange in his mouth. Uncomfortable, unnatural, but true. He realized something important then. Faith wasn't the absence of doubt. It was the decision not to obey it. That night, the voice didn't disappear, but it lost its authority. And that was enough, because for the first time, he understood this wasn't about becoming perfect. It was about becoming honest. Honest about his weakness, honest about grace, honest about the fact that healing doesn't mean never falling. It means knowing where to stand when you do. And this time, he didn't fall alone. He didn't wake up healed. Not completely. There were still mornings when the old thoughts tried to return. Still moments when doubt knocked quietly, hoping he'd open the door again. But something had changed. He no longer believed those thoughts were the truth. They were just echoes, remnants of a version of himself that survived by punishment instead of grace. One evening, as he sat alone, he realized something simple and powerful. Jesus never asked him to forget the past. He asked him to stop living there. For years, he thought healing meant becoming someone new, someone without scars, someone without regret. But now he understood. Healing wasn't about erasing the story. It was about reading it differently. He stopped asking, "What did I do wrong?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me to release?" He still stumbled sometimes, still felt weak, still needed reminders, but he no longer mistook weakness for failure. Because faith wasn't about standing tall every day. It was about standing back up, without believing you were disqualified for falling. Jesus didn't promise him an easy road. He promised him he wouldn't walk it alone, and that made all the difference. As days passed, the man noticed something else. He was gentler, with himself and with others, more patient, less afraid of honesty, not because life stopped being hard, but because he stopped carrying it by himself. And maybe that's where this story meets you. Maybe you're still replaying a moment you wish you could undo, still measuring your worth by a decision you regret, still believing that because you failed once, you're finished. But listen carefully. You are not your worst moment. You are not disqualified. You are not forgotten. Grace doesn't wait for perfection. It meets you right where you are and walks with you forward, not back, forward. And if today all you can do is take one small step without dragging yesterday behind you, that is more than enough, because healing doesn't begin when the past disappears. It begins the moment you stop letting it decide who you are allowed to become.